ourselves shall come to York. And it is there, Trask, where my queen shall be crowned.
Your Majesty is truly gracious. I swear to you that you will find no more loving and loyal people in the whole of your realm than those in Yorkshire.
One more thing. You've written against some of my advisors, protesting at their lack of noble blood.
Your Majesty,
I agree with you. But don't say anything. Now, I have a gift for you.
Majesty.
Happy Christmas, Mr. Rask.
It's quite entertaining. You don't even know who I am, do you?
Of course I do. Your Edward's team was white.
If he ever discovered us, he'd probably kill you.
Really? Yeah, it seems so nice. Cold, perhaps, but pleasant withal.
That's a mistake they all make.
Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum. Amen.
Mr. Ask.
Lady Mary.
I am sorry to disturb your prayers.
Not at all, since you are always part of them.
I come only to wish you well, Mr. Ask, for I know you are here upon God's work. I trust the King's Majesty will grant you and your people all their desires.
I have every hope now, as I have every hope that one day you will succeed as Queen of England, for the better maintaining of our faith. Lady, you must know how beloved you are to the people, as was your mother before you. God rest her soul.
Remember me by this. May God bless and keep you, Master Ask. How is Father? They told me he'd fallen ill.
I was going to tell you at a better time. Father is dead.
When? Why?
Keep smiling. A week ago.
A week?
Yes, a week. I arranged the funeral. Everything was done to honor him.
You should have told me. I should have been there.
I wish it could be otherwise. But it can't now. The place is here. You have to understand that. Later you can visit his mausoleum. Sister? My lady.
I presume you told her about her father. Is she alright?
Of course. She's the queen. St. George that I have not only forgiven and pardoned the men of the North by writing under seal, but also freely in my heart. It is my order that those men now wear the cross of St. George, who thankfully accepted my free pardon, and mean to be as loyal subjects as they were before this sorry insurrection. And my Queen and I wish you all a very happy and prosperous New Year.
I tell you frankly, the King is a good and gracious Lord who has granted us as far as he may all our desires and petitions. It's true, I heard from his own mouth that he intends to hold a free and fair Parliament in York and have the Queen crowned there.
Promises, Mr. Askus, more promises.
No, not just promises. Lord Suffolk is sworn to come here to bring both great authority, the King's seal, and, as he told me, many comfortable answers.
I have to tell you, Mr. Rask, though it grieves me to do so, that since you have no way, there have been many rumours and a widespread mistrust of the King and his council.
Aye, the Northern lads are all mustering again, and this time we won't be betrayed.
Tell them to believe me, John. Tell them to wait for the coming of Lord Suffolk, for another rising now risks everything.
Robert, there was a time when nothing was more sure than the promise of a prince, but now we think these promises are nothing but a policy to blind the people. And when we rise again, we will trust no promises.
I can't believe this. If you will not trust the King, then will you at least trust me? Have I not guided you well so far? Have I not secured a pardon for all of us?
But have you secured the King's absolute promise to restore our monasteries?
His Grace promised me that all those matters would be discussed freely and openly in Parliament. I trust him. He offered me as much as true and honest and good men could desire of their sovereign.
We have no proof.
Where are you going?
Marching on Carlisle.
John, I plead with you, for the love of God, not to put this agreement in jeopardy by false actions and rash judgments.
The minds were already made up, Mr. Rask, even before you returned.
There is no agreement, just base and empty promises. The King will not be moved by words, but by actions. We shall do now what we should have done before. Gather the men.
I wish the Lady Mary lived at court. I miss her very much.
Yes. And the Lady Elizabeth. Is she not the sweetest, cleverest, brightest child? It's not been easy for either of them. And for all my troubles, I'm glad I never had theirs.
Majesty.
Madame, I didn't know whether to tell you, but the King has taken Lady Middleton as a mistress.
He must do as he will. It is we, Lady Rochford, must always honour and obey. Do not be troubled for me, for I have great reason to be happy.
The Duke of Suffolk, and the Lord Privy Seal. You will go north at once.
Yes, Your Majesty.
In order to establish due obedience, you will administer an oath to the leaders and gentlemen of Yorkshire and Lancashire. They will acknowledge that they made other oaths contrary to their allegiance and to the great offense of God. They must utterly renounce them and swear to be our true and faithful subjects. They must commit themselves to obey and even to spill their blood, to maintain all our laws and to assist our church commissioners in their duties. If they will not take the oath, then there will be no clemency. You will apprehend such persons where it is no danger to yourself, and they will, by law, be judged to suffer execution.
Your Majesty, what are your instructions regarding the setting up of Parliament at York?
You may say there has been necessary delays.
Your Majesty, I gave them my word, upon my honor.
Let me remind your grace that rebellion is a heinous sin which cries out to God for punishment. It is the sin of sin. For where there is no right order, there is only carnal liberty, sin, and Babylonian disorder. These wretched men have threatened my whole realm with uproar, as they have threatened me, Charles. They have to and will be punished for it.
I agree with your Majesty, if I might.
No, you may not. You low birth, Mr. Cromwell, deemed you unfit to meddle in the affairs of kings. You're dismissed.
Hi, Charlie. Captain Constable. So the men have started to gather. Are they in good spirits?
The lads are up for it.
Good. The rest will be joining us tomorrow. We'll walk into Carlisle. We'll take the castle as soon as you can fast. What have we got here?
Rabbits.
Rabbits. So what are you going to do with that? Feed the 5,000?
God's name has happened.
We started together, Mr. Rask. Near Carlisle. Ready and eager to assault the castle. Then Sir Christopher Dacre, coming with Suffolk, came out of the castle with the men and broke their spears on us. And afterwards made a bloody chase and captured scores. I saw my two boys slain. Sirs, we are broken.
Photo, Mr. Constable.
Captured.
My lord.
Got him. They broke their pledges. I'm in to see the king.
Yes, my lord.
We shall impose martial law on the whole of the north. that you acted as a leader and captain of this rebellion?
No. And I'm proud of it.
You will be taken to London and examined further as your actions and motives.
You told it. You promised us a parliament. You lied. You betrayed us. You never meant to believe it, did you? Did you? You grace!
Here are the names of those who refused to renounce their actions and sign the oath. 74, all to be executed, Your Grace. It's all well done, Your Grace. You know that His Majesty has ordered us to arrest Lord Darcy, Sir Ralph Elliker, and Robert Ask. They're to be charged on suspicion of treason, but must not know it.
Your Grace must surely know that Mr. Ask, Sir Ralph, and I were firmly, emphatically, and openly against this new rising. We believed, and believe still, in the promises and sureties and good graces of the King's Majesty.
It is also true that nothing can be done or imagined here against His King's Majesty that I cannot let the Council and you know of. I am assured of your loyalty to His Majesty. Nevertheless, the King requires that you travel south with me to explain these recent events, which seem so contrary to expressed hopes.
Your Grace can see with your own eyes that I am old and sick and unfit to travel.
Allow me to speak openly to Your Grace. Although I love and trust the King absolutely, and know that he would always treat me justly and mercifully, I cannot say the same for some of his councillors. I would rather fear to fall into their hands, my lord. Allow me to reassure you. I'll write letters to both the King and Council, in all of your face, which I will show you before we leave.
Then we must go.
Yes. It is the king's command.
Then I say, God have mercy on us.
God bless you and keep you, my own dear husband.
And you too, my darlings. But I shall be all right, for I trust in the honesty of his grace. He showed me a letter. He's written to the council on our behalf, and it was all good. He said he stood surety for us, and I doubt any harm would come to us. After all, what could be gained by it when the North must now be appeased and quietened? There now, daughter, don't weep. You're a Yorkshire lass, and Yorkshire lasses have iron in their souls, just like your good mother. You will see me again soon. I promise.
God bless you, Mr. Ask.
Good speed, Mr. Ask. Bless you, Mr.
Man, march on!
God bless you, Mr. Ask.
I see you're eating quail's eggs again, sweetheart. Did you not have those yesterday?
Yes, Your Majesty. I seem to have developed a fondness for them.
A special fondness?
Well, indeed. For some reason, I desire quail's eggs above everything else.
Yeah.
Leave.
Your Majesty.
Ah, tá bem, Tired, man. Tired, Bob.
I think you're a child.
I am. My love.
My queen.
John Constable, you are a principal and unredeemed traitor and villain against the King's Majesty. Nothing can save you.
Lord, forgive them, oh Lord, for they don't know what they got.
Hold him down on the table.
Jesus, my Redeemer. Oh, sweet Jesus. Oh, God. Oh, Jesus. Oh, God, receive me into the bosom, oh, Lord. Oh, God, please. Sir Lord Darcy, Your Grace, I think the journey almost broke.
His lordship is taken care of. This is Sir Francis Bryan.
Mr. Ask. Sir Francis, I have orders to commit you to the Tower. But it's for your own safety. You'll be lodged comfortably enough. Mr. Cromwell desires to ask you a few questions. I trust your grace.
I swear, I have done my best for you, Mr. Ask.
Suffolk, my lord. You asked to see me? Yes, your grace. Well, explain yourself. What do you want? I have some reports. You always have reports, Cromwell. But these are very interesting. They're reports from the assizes at Carlisle, where you sat in judgment against the rebels who attempted to overthrow His Majesty. Everything was done legally and properly. 74 rebels were judged and hanged. There's the problem. At one point, all agreed there were at least 40,000 rebels armed and in the field, and yet your grace found only 74 guilty. I hanged those who were the leaders and the most guilty of inciting the rest to rebellion. Had you actually been there to hear the evidence? I must be honest with your grace. You have been accused of too great a leniency towards the rebels, towards recalcitrant monks and other upholders of the old religion. It is disputed whether you are, in your heart and soul, fully engaged in the struggle against the treasonous rebels, or whether you are, in your heart, still a papist. Who accuses me? His Majesty. Consequently, His Majesty now demands you to return north and carry out proper and efficient reprisals against these rebels and traitors. You are to make a terrible example of them and teach those parts the virtues of loyalty. 74 is an inadequate number.
Since you asked me for the truth, I will answer that in all parts of the realm, men's hearts were most hurt by the destruction of the abbeys, because they thought, perhaps with a reason, that this was the first fruit of the destruction of their whole religion in England.
There's a letter of yours. On the 19th of January, you wrote to reassure the mayor and the Commons of Pontefract, I shall keep a clean, true heart to God and the King, and will evermore further be a true petitioner for the Commonwealth's good. You signed it, T. Darcy.
I remember it, but I am not sure what is wrong with it.
Can you not agree? It was rather the spreading of false rumors. For example, that the parish churches were going to be pulled down, which actually caused the rebellion.
No, it was the fact that the abbeys were being suppressed and burned.
You wrote on the 19th of January, that is after the king declared his pardon and the rebellion had ended.
But I understood that the king had also agreed to a free parliament where his subjects could still show their griefs and complaints. My letter was only meant to...
I'll tell you what it meant, my lord. It meant that even after the king's gracious pardon, you had not changed your traitor's heart and opinions. You continued to seek the annulment of laws made for the good of the Commonwealth, and you still wish to depose the king.
Why? They were so important to you. Because the abbeys in the north gave alms to poor men and laudably served God. They were one of the beauties of this realm, to all men and strangers alike. They took care of their servants, their tenants, and their local communities in every sort of way, from maintaining bridges and sea walls, to seeing that girls and boys were brought up in virtue. And when they stood, people not only had worldly refreshment in their bodies, but they also had a spiritual refuge.
So you begrudged the suppression and the king's supremacy.
After such confessions, what forgiveness?
It is not Mr. Rusk, but you, who are the very original chief cause of all this rebellion and mischief. And though you could probably find some way of having all the noblemen's heads in the realm struck off if you wanted, Yet I trust there might be one left who could still strike off yours.
Well, may surprise you to learn, Mr. Alford, for some very good reasons. I'm determined to save you.
You've been here for 2 days. Still, you don't talk to me. Even though you are unhappy.
How do you know?
You wake in the night. You say things.
What do I say?
Don't make noise, I'm sleeping.
Unburden your heart.
If I do, believe me, everything will change.
Oh, I'm sleeping. Shut up, I'm sleeping. Nia, you love me?
I'm commanded to return north to carry out retribution. I must execute more rebels. Only this time without trial or proper process.
Many?
Yes, many. Many. Hundreds. Thousands. I must kill hundreds of men, women, and children, or lose the love of my king.
Women and children.
I have no choice.
Of course you have choice. What if they were your own children?
I would still have to do it.
His Majesty the King.
Stand up, Mr. Ask. Mr. Cromwell has reported your words to me. I've come to talk to you about the abbeys and the religious houses you care so much about. Please.
You're not loving me. I'm sleeping, Poppy. I'm tired.
You have so much affection for these monks. Yet I can prove to you how far they are from good religious men. They claim to live in willful poverty, chastity, and obedience. Yet they amass possessions and put themselves outside the law. They're richer than princes, yet without our responsibilities. And what is willful poverty anyway? And as for obedience, God help us. How can they be when they disoblige their sovereign Lord, whom, by God's commandments, they ought to obey in all things?
Daniel! The hell? I want to shut up. I want to watch a movie. I don't want that on. I'm sleeping. Damn it. Daniel, stop it. I want to sleep. I want my TV thing. I don't want it, Bobby. I want to take a nap, man. Screwing on my thing, man. I don't want it on. I want to sleep. I want my movie.
Forsake all earthly possessions, as they claim, but rather as idle and sturdy vagabonds. I like you, Mr. Rask. You may be misguided in certain matters, yes, but your mistakes are honest. I know that in your heart, you are the most loyal of all men.
I love and respect your majesty, above all things, and will never seek to offend you.
Majesty, the boatman from Calais is here.
Majesty? Monsieur? Let me see.
Majesty?
Quail's eggs, Sir Francis. Quail's eggs. To the Queen, Monsieur. Have you dispatched Suffolk to the north?
Yes, Your Majesty.
What did you say to him?
I urged him as a true knight to his sovereign lord not to spare, but frankly to slay plenty of these false rebels. I said to him there was no need for courtesy in shedding the blood of traitors.
And?
The Emperor will shortly be dispatching an envoy with authority to discuss with Your Majesty possible candidates for the hand of the Lady Mary.
What do you think of this? It's the Bustantoro, the Doge ship. When it is built, the Queen will ride in it to her coronation.
And it will indeed be a memorable occasion.
Of course, it'll have to wait till after the birth of my son. What's that?
This is a pamphlet, widely distributed. Its author is Reginald Pole, of Your Majesty's acquaintance, who has recently been made a cardinal by the Bishop of Rome.
Cardinal. What does it say?
It condemns Your Majesty in the vilest of terms.
As what?
As a heretic and as an adulterer.
So much for gratitude.
Unfortunately, there is more. My creatures tell me that the same Cardinal Pole is now in France as papal legate and has been granted private audience with King Francis. Apparently, he's trying to persuade the French and others to help rekindle the rebellions against Your Majesty.
Every year, the Duke of Venice travels out in this ship into the lagoon to renew his marriage vows with the sea. Marriage with the sea. What prince does not aspire to have such an elemental mistress?
Mr. Robert Ask, you've been accused of conspiring to deprive the king of his title of head of the church, of seeking to compel him to hold a parliament, and finally, of levying war against him, all after his Majesty's gracious pardon was granted. On all these counts, we find you guilty as charged. You are to be returned to York, where you enjoyed your most frantic triumph. And there, hanged in chains as a punishment for your grievous sins against His Majesty's Highness and against this realm.
Your horse is ready, Your Grace.
Father,
Son,
I know you will do your duty.
thank you. Now, go check on the horses. I don't ask for your blessing, Catherine. Please don't send me away with your curse.
You are a man of honor. And I pray to God I shall never have cause to curse or disoblige you. But I beg you, show mercy, especially to the innocent.
Sir Ralph Ellicott.
Sir Ralph, you're accused of taking part in the late insurrection that so wretchedly offended His King's Majesty and the whole realm. We have taken account of your deposition to the court that you only joined the rebels out of fear for your own life and the lives of your dependents. We also note your subsequent vows of contrition. We ask you to sign this.
What is it?
An oath. You swear that you are heartily sorry that you have offended the King's Highness in this rebellion. You promise never again to make unlawful assembly, and also promise to inform against anyone else who does. From henceforth, you shall be a true and faithful subject unto our King, our sovereign Lord Henry VIII, King of England and of France, and on earth, supreme head of the Church of England, so help you God. And in return, His Majesty will grant you mercy.
To show a fearful example to those who would disobey His most gracious and sacred Majesty, who after all, in His mercy, granted you a pardon, whereupon you continued your willful disobedience and traitorous hearts. For these reasons, the King will not forgive you, and neither will God.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Please, Lord, forgive thy poor servant his trespasses against your flock.
Mr. Ask, my name is Richard Cowan. I'm an ordained priest, and I've come to hear your confession.
May I speak to you honestly, Mr. Cowan? Please, do not betray my trust.
Never, Mr. Ask.
Tomorrow, I must beg the forgiveness not only of His Sacred Majesty, but also of Cromwell and the other heretics. It sticks in my craw. Cromwell has openly said that all of us Northerners were traitors. It offended me so much. And then several times he offered me a pardon for confessing the truth. Cromwell is the devil's messenger, Mr. Cowan. And yet I must beg his pardon, or else they will hurt my family. And that I cannot allow. Bad enough that my wife and children will see me hanged and left to rot in these chains.
Mr. Ask, is there anything you need? Anything I can get you for solace?
There can be no solace, Mr. Cowan. I will sit here a while and weep, and thereafter deliver myself into God's hands and into His loving mercy. Amen. Wait. There is something sewn into my collar there. I was given that by the Lady Mary. As you love our cause, Mr. Cowan, please hand it to my wife. It will ease her burden greatly.
Francis Bryan.
Majesty.
Sir Francis.
Reginald Pole has shown us his true heart. I want you to go to Paris. Protest to the French king on our behalf for the solemn and pompous reception granted him.
Majesty.
Ask him to deliver the traitor into your hands, or face the consequences and our perpetual enmity.
What if the king refuses?
Were you not a spy once, Sir Francis?
I was, Your Majesty, indeed. And a vicar of codes.
Well, perhaps you could revisit some of your old skills. I, for one, would like nothing better than to have Pole trussed up and taken to Calais. I'd rather alive than dead.
Those nobles want to buy the leases of some of the suppressed abbeys.
What are they giving Mr. Cromwell?
Bribes. Mr. Cromwell is already a rich man. Some say the richest in the kingdom.
Does the king know of this practice?
He asks no questions, as long as the crown receives his 10% share.
Not terrible that our sacred building be used like this as profit?
You say so? You have to understand how clever it is. By allowing these new men to buy a stake in the kingdom, Mr. Cromwell makes sure of their loyalty to the king and to himself.
for I've greatly offended God, the King, and the world. God, I have offended by breaking his commandments in many ways. The King, I have offended by breaking his laws, to which every true subject is bound by the commandment of God. And the world, I have offended, since for my actions so many have lost their lives, their lands, and their goods. I ask forgiveness of his gracious majesty, also my Lord Privy Seal, my Lord Chancellor, and my Lord of Suffolk, whose trespasses against me I also forgive with a free heart. And of all the world,
This round goes from good peace and quiet daily to better and better. The traitors have been executed. Lord Darcy and Tower Hill. Ask hanged above the dungeon of the castle at York. The rest were executed at Tyburn. So that, as far as we can perceive, all the cankered hearts are weeded away.
Sir Francis Brillant, let me present myself. I am Comte Talleyrand. His Majesty, King Francois, sent me to meet you.
Count, allow me to present my companion, Mr. Thomas Seymour, brother of the Queen of England.
Monsieur?
So if the King has sent you, you know why we have come to France?
Oui, oui. I know.
And we expect your government, under its treaty obligations, to apprehend the rebel Reginald Pole and deliver him into our custody.
Unfortunately, His Majesty already granted safe passage to this Reginald Pole, so it would have been dishonorable for him to hand him over. Nevertheless, he promised your king by letter 10 days ago that he would expel this Pole, and so he did.
Then where is Pole now?
All I know is that he was allowed to travel to Caserta under the Emperor jurisdiction.
It seems to me that your manner of proceeding has been very strange. I fear I may lose your master the friendship of mine. Now, I'm hungry. Good evening, Count.
Good evening, Sir Francis. Monsieur, bonnes vacances.
Messieurs, vos repas, s'il vous plaît. Monsieur?
Yes, very pretty. So, where's Caserta? Forgive my ignorance. In Italy. North of Naples. It's a nice old town. I tell you this, Tom. If we find Paul, I will not truss him up. I'm going to kill him with my own hands.
Your Majesty, His Excellency Ambassador Eustace Chapuis.
Excellency? Your Majesties, the Emperor sends you his love, and he has charged me with the grave responsibility of negotiating with your Majesty a suitable marriage for your daughter, the Lady Mary.
the king propose?
His Highness Don Luis, the heir to the throne of Portugal, and the brother of the Emperor's wife, Isabella.
What type of man is he, this Don Luis?
He is in every way a paragon. A man of great integrity and virtue. A man who has fought military campaigns and won. A man with a profound knowledge of the world.
My daughter has no knowledge of the world. She's an ingenue, an innocent. And she's a very spiritual person. How will this Don Luis treat her?
Like a nun.
In which case, alas, it may be difficult for them to produce children. Excellency.
The Emperor has suggested a splendid offer for your hand. His Highness Don Luis is 24 years old, from a very rich and distinguished family.
Go on.
I am told he is a great favorite at the imperial court.
With women?
With everyone. Because he is so honorable and gallant and good-natured.
Is he, good looking?
Yes. I have seen him myself. He is tall, with very dark hair, but piercing blue eyes. I am sure that your mother, God rest her soul, would have approved. And everyone at court is talking about you. They say the Queen has persuaded His Majesty to reinstate you to the succession.
Poor Robert Ask. I was told his body is still hanging, trimmed in chains for all to see. I should not be thinking of my own happiness.
Sweet madam, you have every right to think of it.
Your Graces, as head of the church, I am vexed by your inability to agree on the fundamental issues of doctrine and practice. I listen to your sermons, and sometimes I find them full of evangelical excesses which have never been agreed upon and have no place in the Church of England. Your Graces, I want unity and agreement in our church. I want diversity of opinion ended and uniformity imposed. Therefore, I command you to establish a commission amongst yourselves to determine the basic articles of our faith. It's Her Majesty. What is it? Sweetheart, what is it?
Everything's all right. Come. Can you feel it? It's moving. It's kicking.
I can feel it. Oh, you feel strong. Edward, my son, be strong.
Can I catch the next one?
What's your father?
Can't you see him?
See who?
see him. That man. He's there. You can see him. Go on. Oh, for God's sake, do you see him?
In a while, the Queen will come to full term. I want you to organize the celebrations for the birth of my son.
I'll be honest.
I want them truly spectacular. Te-deums and bonfires throughout the kingdom and free wine for everyone. And tournaments. I had planned a tournament for the birth of the prince with my last queen, but it has to be cancelled.
Well, this time, Your Majesty will have no reason to cancel it. May I ask Your Majesty's opinion on another matter? In the recent rebellion, which, thank God, Your Majesty is now suppressed, and the worst rascals properly put to death, a great cause was made by some against the Lord Privy Seal, who, in some quarters, was blamed for it. Frankly, we thought him in danger, whilst trusting he was not.
It was the rebels who demanded Mr. Cromwell's head. And by doing so, they saved it.
Yes, Lady Rochford? Majesty. Lady Leal has written to me asking if Your Majesty might find a place in your household for one of her two daughters. I told her I would mention it to you.
Have you warned the Lady Leo that life at court is full of pride, envy, scorn, and derision? If you have, then have her send them to me, and I'll choose one of them. And remember, they must bring 2 sets of clothes, one of satin, the other of damask. Madam. Lady Missenden, help me unlace my gown. It seems to grow tighter by the hour. If anything should happen to me, be a comfort to His Majesty. Do not be alarmed, ladies. I think my time has come. Lady Mary, Majesty, please swear that you will stay with me now and not forsake me. I do promise. Then all will be well. Go fetch the wife. Come to bed.
Majesty.
Well, is it time?
Yes, Your Majesty.
Send my physician to watch over.
Yes, Your Majesty.
And fetch my Lord Beecham. And Bishop Gardner, Majesty. And send some heralds into the city to tell them the news. And Cromwell. Tell Mr. Cromwell. Tell him that whole world's hang in the balance.
It's happening! It's happening! I played him Sue if he wills to send us a prince!
My husband.
Belong to your mother.
I think she is here with us. I believe with all my heart she will help you.
Almighty and everlasting God, mercifully look upon our infirmities, and in all our dangers and necessities, stretch forth thy right hand to help us and defend us through Christ our Lord.
procession through the city, or to pray for the Queen if she is still in labour with child.
She is still in labour with child, God help us. I think to lose them both.
I am reconciled with God. I have done nothing against my conscience. To serve the king is to serve God.
I am with child.
She is no better.
Please, my lady, don't give up. Please, please, don't give up.
Your Majesty, I talked to the physicians. In their opinion, there is not a great deal of time left. The baby is likely to die unless they cut open the Queen's belly to release it. In which case, it is almost certain that she herself will die. Your Majesty may thus have to decide soon between the life of the mother or of the child. Let me pass. Her Majesty is delivered of a healthy son.
I have a son.
I have a son. Yes, Your Majesty. You have a son.
Virgin Mary and St. George.
He's a sweet prince.
Yes, he is.
And he's our brother.
The king has waited a long time for a son.
But he still loves us.
A boy is more important, Elizabeth.
I don't think so.
In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, I baptize thee, Edward. May God bless and keep you all the days of your life, and give you abundantly his grace. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
God of his almighty and infinite grace, give and grant good life and long to right high, right excellent and noble Prince Edward, Duke of Cornwall and Earl of Chester, most dear and entirely beloved son to our most great and gracious Lord, King Henry VIII.
The Queen's health has rapidly deteriorated. Yesterday evening she had Lucy the buzz and we felt sure we could save her. But during the night, a fever worse again. We have tried everything we know, but Her Majesty continues to weak. Leave. Don't go. Please, don't go. Just because you have done everything that you've promised, please don't leave me. You are the milk of human kindness, the light in my dark, dark world. Without you, life is a desert, a howling wilderness. Please, God, in your mercy, don't take her away from me. My son needs his mother, and I need my queen. Sorry, sir. Was you trying to pass?